We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business. We're losing.
Sean Diddy Combs, seen in what he's now calling stolen footage, getting dressed, greeting fans.
I need some hand sanitizer.
Yeah, I gotta take a bath.
Everybody thinks scandals start with evidence. They don't. They start with whispers. Quiet conversations behind closed doors. Phone calls that end abruptly when someone else walks into the room. Messages that get deleted seconds after they're read.
And arguing with his lawyers 6 days before his arrest in New York last year.
Listen to me. I'm gonna get off the phone right now, and I am gonna let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution.
Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching?
I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it. That's one of the moments where he forgot he was on tape.
Curtis 50 Cent Jackson at the helm of the 4-part docuseries Sean Combs' The Reckoning, coming to Netflix December 2nd. The longtime Diddy critic sitting down with Robin Roberts on Good Morning America Monday.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's gonna say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
Expect more never-before-seen moments, plus 2 jurors speaking out for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict back in July.
It was a scary situation because you have, 12 people who hold the fate of your life.
As for Diddy, well, he's sharing his thoughts with ET from a New Jersey prison, where he's serving a 50-month sentence on prostitution-related charges. Through a spokesperson, he's calling the project a shameful hit piece that relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business.
Diddy's team says Mr. Combs has been amassing footage since he was 19 to tell his story in his own way. It's fundamentally unfair and illegal for Netflix to misappropriate that work. They add it's equally staggering that Netflix handed creative control to a longtime adversary with a personal vendetta.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like...
Diddy Combs and 50 Cent. These two go back a long time. They have been rivals for a long time. And this week we learned that, at least from Diddy's side of things, this feud apparently went far beyond words. 50 Cent's name came up during the testimony this week of Capricorn Clark. She is a former assistant of Sean Combs who went on to become the head of marketing for his Sean John clothing brand. Clark rose successfully and professionally through the ranks of Diddy's world during her time working for him, which stretched between 2004 to 2018, so she saw a lot. Clark claimed that Diddy would threaten her, and she says he even kidnapped her in 2011. All of this matters as we build up to how 50 Cent kind of factors into what she said on the stand. Now, Capricorn Clark started working for Bad Boy after she worked for Death Row Records. Now that's surprising, since Death Row was ran by perhaps Diddy's most hated enemy, Suge Knight. Clark said that one of her good friends had a baby with Suge Knight, and that's how she knew him. And in perhaps the most shocking story from her testimony, Clark claimed that shortly after she started working for Diddy, Diddy and his security guards took her to Central Park after dark, and Diddy said, quote, "He told me he didn't know that I had anything to do with Suge Knight, and if anything happened, he would have to kill me." It is an allegation that paints Combs as someone who is ready to take a life. But as Capricorn Clark's testimony continued, she brought up another rival of Sean Diddy Combs and another allegation that he made an ominous threat of violence. Clark testified, when working for Diddy, they went to a press event at MTV and 50 Cent was there. And just wait until you hear what she says Diddy told 50's manager. 50 Cent's real name?
That's where this story really begins. Because long before the public heard anything, industry insiders were already talking. And when one powerful figure allegedly started revealing disturbing information about another major power player, it didn't explode overnight. It spread slowly, like smoke before fire. At first, executives dismissed it as tension, rivalry, ego clashes between giants who built their empires the same way, through dominance, influence, and calculated alliances. But the tone of these revelations allegedly felt different. Less emotional. More detailed. Less like insults. And more like exposure. That distinction is what made people nervous. Because insults damage reputation. Exposure damages structure. What's being suggested isn't just personal conflict. It's systemic behavior. Patterns. Environments. Closed-door practices that allegedly operated for years without scrutiny because nobody inside the system wanted to be the first one to speak. Silence is the industry's oldest contract. Not written. Understood. You protect the machine.
Is Curtis Jackson. He rose to fame in the early 2000s. You might remember songs like In the Club. You might remember that he was the leader of the rap group G-Unit. Now, 50 grew up in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Diddy, also a New York native. He was born in Harlem, grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, just about 20 miles away. And even though they both had success in music, they both rose to fame representing the city of New York and the rap scene there, they have been longtime rivals. In 2006, 50 Cent released a diss track about Diddy. So almost 20 years ago, this goes back a long way. And in that diss track, he says, quote, "Who shot Biggie Smalls? We don't get 'em. They gon' kill us all. Man, Puffy know who hit that expletive. Man, that expletive soft." Now 50 is accusing Combs there of knowing who killed his friend, the notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace. Wallace and Puffy were incredibly close, but Wallace was shot and killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles in 1997, and no one has ever been charged for pulling the trigger. This all happened during really the height of the East Coast-West Coast rap rivalry of the 90s, which involved Suge Knight, who we mentioned earlier. 50 Cent has also accused Diddy of orchestrating the murder of death row rapper Tupac Shakur, who died in 1996 in a Las Vegas drive-by shooting. This is Dwayne Keefe D. Davis. He was arrested in September 2023, and he is the only person facing charges related to Tupac's murder. But 50 Cent has continued to push the allegation that Sean Combs either knows something or did something for Tupac to end up dead, though Diddy has denied that. But in a 2023 Instagram post, 50 wrote, "Damn, so Pac got lined by brother love, LOL, time to lawyer up, expletive might get sticky," with a pic of Suge Knight in a car with Tupac. Diddy, who has a lot of names, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Puff, and Brother Love is one of those other names. Now from Diddy's side of things, again, he's denied having anything to do with Tupac's murder, and he's also denied having anything to do with Christopher Wallace's death, and he's denied publicly having issues with 50 Cent. Here's what Combs said when he was asked about a beef with 50 in a 2018 interview with the radio show The Breakfast Club, Power 105.1 FM.
Hey, yo, I don't have no beef with
I don't know why.
With Fifth. He loves me. He loves me.
Do y'all really
can't
have a
see it?
beef?
I mean, y'all can't see it.
No, we can't see
Y'all
it,
can't
man.
see that he loves me?
But see,
you really think that's hate?
If you look at 50's social media, you can see he has a lot of posts about Diddy. And this is what he posted the day that federal agents in Miami raided Combs' mansion ahead of his arrest on the charges that he's now on trial for. 50 Cent posted on X, "Now it's not Diddy do it, it's Diddy done. They don't come like that unless they got a case." 50 Cent also included a link to his G-Unit clothing brand in that post. While Diddy in the Breakfast Club clip said that 50 Cent actually loves him and there was never a beef, on the stand this week, Capricorn Clark said otherwise. Clark said that she was at this press event at MTV with Diddy and 50 Cent was also there, all of this happening in New York. Clark said, quote, "After the interview wrapped up, myself, Puff, and Chris Lighty got in the elevator." Clark said that Lighty was an entertainment manager who, on paper, was managing Diddy at the time, but was also 50 Cent's manager at the time. Prosecutors asked Clark what happened in the elevator, and she said, quote, "Puff told Chris, because they were having some sort of issue, like, I really don't like all the back and forth. I don't do that. I like guns." The prosecutor then asked, "What's the issue with an individual?" And Clark responded, he had an issue with 50 Cent. She said Combs was very serious when he said that. In this case, it has become common to hear testimony.
And the machine protects you. Until it doesn't. The disturbing nature of these alleged revelations isn't about one incident. It's about atmosphere. An environment where power imbalance wasn't hidden, it was normalized. Where influence extended beyond business into personal territory. Where loyalty wasn't just expected, it was enforced through fear of career destruction. Because in that world, reputation is currency. And currency can be frozen overnight. What's shocking people now isn't just what's being hinted at. It's who it's coming from. When someone who thrived inside the same system starts talking about disturbing patterns, it disrupts the illusion that success equals comfort. It suggests survival required compromise. And compromise leaves scars. The allegations, again, alleged, point toward manipulation disguised as mentorship. Control framed as guidance. Pressure labeled as opportunity. That psychological framing is what makes
testimony from witnesses about alleged threats by Diddy. In fact, several witnesses have said that Diddy regularly threatened to fire people, to beat people, like his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura, and in this case, making a threat involving firearms to settle a dispute per the testimony of someone who was one of his closest associates for more than a decade. Invoking gun violence and some sort of veiled threat, that could be scary for some, but apparently not 50 Cent. On Instagram, 50 posted right after his name came up in the courtroom, quote, cut, wait a minute. Puffy's got a gun? I can't believe this. I don't feel safe, with a picture that looked like an AI image of 50 Cent on a movie set looking serious. And he wasn't done. Shortly after that, he posted another AI image on Instagram of him in a Yankees hat with a very scared look on his face with the caption, "Oh my goodness, itty bitty Diddy wants me dead. I have to lay low." Sad face emoji. "I think I'm gonna hide out at the playoff game tonight, LOL. Then the next day he posted what he did that night. He went to the NBA playoff game between the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in Indiana. And you can see him here in a picture on the floor in a shirt that reads, quote, "Free Diddy," playing into the trolling that 50 Cent has done to Sean Combs over the years, even before Combs was ever accused of what he is on trial for. Now, Combs' trial is expected to last another month at least. He's charged with racketeering, sex trafficking by force, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty. Join us now to talk more about the trial of Sean Diddy Combs and everything that's going on inside the courtroom is Afi Patterson, civil and criminal defense attorney. Thanks for taking the time to be with us. We're focusing on what was a minor moment in the grand scheme of everything we heard in the trial this week, but there's this anecdote that Capricorn Clark told about what related to 50 Cent, but what Diddy allegedly told 50 Cent's manager at MTV during her time of working for Diddy. What did you make of that? Sean Combs saying, "I don't like the back and forth, but I like guns."
I think it goes to the overall case. They've been saying that Diddy was a dangerous guy. If he made a threat, he could back it up. And I do recall reading that she said that his demeanor was very, very serious. And knowing the history, knowing his history, his violent history, knowing about the beef between Biggie and Tupac, I think that it probably frightened her. And I think that just again, her knowing about his violence, his propensity for violence, his behavior with her, his behavior with Cassie, his behavior with other employees, he's just continually reinforcing that violence. So I think it was a really good moment for the government.
Yeah, it's just, and it seems like there are these little moments along the way where there are some celebrity names that pop up. This case, it was 50
Mhm.
Cent. We heard earlier in the trial, Usher and Neo were at a dinner where Cassie was allegedly assaulted. It was unclear whether they saw that, but it was said that they were there. As far as the history of 50 Cent and Diddy, do we know how it started? I know that 50 Cent had a diss track, I think around 2006, claiming that
Mhm.
Sean Combs knew who killed Biggie Smalls, but is there a particular incident that happened that made 50 Cent just seem to really start to come at Sean Combs?
I don't know what's ground zero for them. I've seen, interviews that 50 has given saying that it's all business with them. I know they both have alcohol lines, and I know, they're both from New York. I think
the claims feel heavy. Because it blurs the line between consent and coercion, between choice and expectation, between ambition and entrapment. Fans often imagine the industry as competitive but glamorous. Insiders allegedly describe it as strategic but predatory. Not predatory in the cinematic sense, but in the structural sense, where newcomers enter ecosystems they don't understand. And by the time they do, it's too late to leave cleanly. The disturbing part isn't always what happens. It's what people feel forced to accept. These alleged revelations also suggest that public personas were carefully engineered shields. Charisma used as camouflage. Philanthropy used as insulation. Success used as proof of character, even when character was never truly examined. Because the machine rewards profitability, not morality. The insider speaking now allegedly understands that system intimately. Knows where leverage lives. Knows which alliances were strategic rather than genuine. Knows which
50 is maybe from Queens and Diddy is from Harlem. I don't know what their ground zero is, but I know that since this all came out, 50 has not stopped. He's been taunting Diddy online. You, of course, know about the documentary. I believe it got picked up by Netflix, and he is supposedly donating the proceeds to victims of domestic violence. Diddy has had his knee on his neck and his foot to the gas on Diddy for a while. But again, I don't know where it started.
Yeah, I mean, 50 Cent, for many people, if it was ever, there was an anecdote that came out that someone had said, oh, I like guns when talking about it back and forth, it might scare you. 50 Cent was at the Knicks-Pacers game in Indiana with a Free Diddy t-shirt on, sitting courtside the next day. It's different. It was, yeah, it was different. I look back, and we aired a bit kind of leading into this interview, a clip from The Breakfast Club. It was 2018, and Diddy was on the show, and they asked about the issues that he had with 50 Cent. And he said, there's no issues. I love him. He loves me. He was kind of joking about it. And then you hear these stories that come out, whether it's this one specifically about 50 Cent or just in general, the picture that's being painted by the government in this trial. For you, has kind of the image of Sean Combs and who you thought he was, has it changed during the course of what we've seen over the last couple of weeks?
Certainly over the course of what we've seen, but I think I've seen an interview where 50 said, if you want to go nowhere, go to Diddy. If you're ready for your career to die, go to Diddy. It's long been rumored that Diddy didn't necessarily treat his artists properly, and if you look through his roster of artists, you'll see a lot of individuals whose careers probably started off really, really well, but they ended up with no money. That's long been the rumor. There've been rumors of abuse by Diddy toward Cassie and toward Kim and some other women as well. Even when he was at, I think Uptown is where he originally started. So there've always been rumors, but nothing really solidified and verified like we've had in this trial. It's been awful. I think it would be awful for anyone. I don't think his reputation is in the business world certainly will never recover. And even if he's found not guilty, his name is mud. I don't think that it's recoverable. I think everybody is extremely shocked, especially just some of the sexually explicit things. We have a huge morality issue in America. So anything that's like a little deviant is just not going to be really good for you. So I think everybody's a little shocked. I'm a little shocked and appalled and horrified, and I think a lot of people are. But this is not what we knew. We knew some things weren't right, but we didn't know just how wrong they were.
And I feel like we just knew because we all grew up, whether it was some of the roles he had in movies, and he was everywhere, and then his brands were everywhere, and it's like Making the Band was such like a hit show on MTV back in the day. And there's that famous scene where he has all the contestants walk to Brooklyn to go get, I think it was Junior's cheesecake. And he's
public friendships masked private distrust. That knowledge is what makes the revelations unsettling. Because they're not framed as speculation. They're framed as observation. Observation from proximity. Proximity changes credibility. The shocking nature of these allegations isn't about spectacle. It's about plausibility. The stories don't sound theatrical. They sound procedural. Routine behaviors repeated so often insiders stopped questioning them. That normalization is what disturbs audiences the most. Because it suggests misconduct, if proven, wasn't accidental. It was environmental. An industry climate rather than isolated incidents. And climates don't change without exposure. Right now, The figure at the center of the firestorm hasn't been legally concluded of anything tied to these specific revelations. That distinction matters. But public perception doesn't wait for legal resolution. Perception reacts to narrative weight. And
he's now on the defensive, but that is not the end of the story. No. It is just the beginning. Because now producer Rodney Little Rod Jones has filed a massive, reportedly $30 million federal lawsuit against Combs and others, alleging sexual assault, harassment, and an illicit criminal enterprise. This lawsuit by Jones is 75 pages. It lists out 15 separate causes of action, and we're going to go through them. But this lawsuit is against Combs, his son Justin Combs, various associates, and entities like Chalice Recording Studios, Love Records, Motown Records, Combs Global Enterprises, and Universal Music Group. So the complaint starts off by explaining that Jones produced 9 songs for Combs on his Love album and actually lived with Sean Combs for a period of time. And how, quote, throughout his time with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones witnessed, experienced, and endured many things that went far beyond his role as a producer on the Love album. Mr. Combs required Mr. Jones to record him constantly. On several occasions, Mr. Combs took Mr. Jones's cell phone and began recording himself. As a result, Mr. Jones has secured hundreds of hours of footage and audio recordings of Mr. Combs, his staff, and his guests engaging in serious illegal activity. Now, Jones says that those videos show drugs like ecstasy and cocaine, the displaying of unregistered firearms, Combs spiking drinks for minors and sex workers, Combs' son Christian drugging and sexually assaulting a woman, and even a famous actor sexually harassing and assaulting Jones. Now, Jones alleged numerous events in these papers. For example, Jones, who identifies as a heterosexual Christian man, claims that Combs repeatedly and intentionally groped his private parts without his consent, that this happened in L.A., New York, Florida, the Virgin Islands, and that Combs also continually forced Jones to be in his presence while he was naked and showered. So with that, Jones is suing Combs for a claim of sexual assault and harassment. Jones says that this resulted in severe emotional distress and anxiety. And as we go through some of these claims, keep in mind what he alleged that he suffered as a result of Combs' action. This is the injury or harm element that you need for the purposes of damages. What happened to you? What did you suffer? Meaning, what could Jones recover? Let's keep that in mind. But Jones claims that Combs attempted to groom him into homosexual sex. And one of the ways that Jones says Combs tried to do that was by using producer Stephen Aaron Jordan, who Jones apparently looked up to. Combs allegedly showed Jones a video of Jordan engaging in a sex act with another man as a way to, quote, ease his anxiety concerning homosexuality. And included in this complaint are alleged screenshots of that purported video. By the way, Jones alleges that Combs has hidden cameras in every room of his various homes and that he has secret recordings of celebrities and associates, this compromising footage of every person that has attended his parties, which, by the way, from a legal point of view, would be a violation of civil privacy laws and criminal privacy laws, perhaps even implicate revenge porn type statutes. Anyway, continuing on with this alleged grooming campaign, Combs even allegedly admitted that he had engaged in sexual intercourse with, quote, an unidentified Philadelphia rapper who dated Nicki Minaj, as well as, quote, an R&B singer who performed at the Super Bowl. Now, there are those who have speculated online that that Philly rapper is Meek Mill and the R&B.
The weight is building. The insider's alleged strategy isn't explosive disclosure. It's gradual pressure. Hints. Fragments. Enough detail to ignite discussion without triggering immediate legal shutdown. That slow drip keeps attention sustained. Keeps speculation alive. Keeps the spotlight hot. Because one massive reveal can be denied, a series of smaller ones becomes harder to contain. Executives reportedly fear documentation more than accusations. Because accusations divide opinion. Documentation unifies it. That fear explains why containment efforts allegedly began immediately. Reputation management campaigns. Strategic leaks to dilute focus. Distraction headlines to redirect media cycles. Classic crisis mitigation tactics. But containment only works when insiders stay quiet. And right now, Silence seems to be breaking. Not loudly, but steadily. Other voices, still unnamed, are rumored to be considering whether to speak. Watching reactions. Measuring risk.
Singer who performed at the Super Bowl could be Usher. On Twitter, X, Meek Mill posted on his account, quote, "One love to the gay people," but then talked about in graphic detail how he much prefers or loves a certain part of the female anatomy. He wrote, quote, "Every black blog site enhanced that post to make me seem gay. I change laws for our people. I donate millions. They are designed to destroy the image of black leaders. It can't work with me, though. You gotta really kill me, and I still will get bigger after death. This God, not me. LOL." Now, one of the people to jump into the mix online was actually social media influencer and former kickboxer Andrew Tate. As you know, we covered Tate's legal troubles in Romania before here on Sidebar, as he's facing charges of rape, sex trafficking, and sexual exploitation. But Tate posted the question on Twitter, quote, "So P. Diddy was having sex with Meek Mill and Usher?" Meek Mill responded, "Was you sex trafficking women? TF wrong with you, Brody." Tate responded, "I only asked a question because everyone is saying it happened. It's true or not." As for Usher, as far as we could see, he didn't respond to any of the assertions in this lawsuit. And you could argue, why should he, as he's not directly mentioned by name or implicated. But something that has created a bit of buzz online is an interview that Usher did years back on the Howard Stern show, where he talked about living with Sean Combs as a teenager as part of P. Diddy's, it's called Puffy's Flavor Camp. He said, quote, "I got a chance to see some things. I went there to see the lifestyle and I saw it. It was pretty wild. It was crazy. They called me Baby Boo." He went on to say he wasn't disciplinary. He was letting me be a young man. And, quote, "I will always look at him like a brother." But when he was asked if he would send his children to the camp, he responded, quote, "Hell no." Quick note, by the way, another high-profile celebrity jumped into the mix as well with all of this Diddy controversy going on, and that's comedian Cat Williams. You might have heard about this, because in an interview with Vlad TV recently, he said he had attended one of Diddy's parties where he found out it was just men there, and he claimed that Diddy had tried to stop him from leaving, making strange, suggestive comments, even threatening and harassing him at one point. Williams had gone on to say, quote, "I am not gay, and I am not going to sleep with you." Okay, but moving forward in the lawsuit, Jones claims that on Thanksgiving Day 2022, Combs offered Jones cocaine, and then rapper Young Miami, her female cousin or assistant, identified as Jane Doe 1, tried to sexually assault Jones, including in front of Combs. And Jones, in fact, again, attached screenshots from a video of Combs, Jones, Young Miami, and Jane Doe 1 on that day. Now, this makes up the fourth listed cause of action in the lawsuit. He is suing Jane Doe 1 for sexual assault. Jones says that her actions were willful and malicious and frightened him. He's also suing her for both negligent and intentional infliction of emotional distress. By the way, he also ends up suing Combs for negligent and intentional infliction of emotional distress for a lot of this behavior that he says is extreme and outrageous. But speaking of which, Jones is also suing Combs too for this same alleged assault by Jane Doe 1 under a premises liability theory. Basically, Jones is arguing that Combs is responsible because this alleged assault happened on Combs' property. He saw this happen, that he had a duty as the owner of the property to protect Jones from harm. That's actually a common theme we see in personal injury cases. If something happens to your guests on your property, your business, your home, you could be legally responsible. Then there is the Cuba Gooding Jr.
Because being first is dangerous, but being second is survivable. If multiple testimonies align, the narrative shifts from feud to pattern. Pattern creates legitimacy. Legitimacy creates investigation. And investigation threatens legacy. Legacy is what's truly under fire. Not just one career, but the mythology built around it. The idea of untouchable influence. Of dominance without accountability. Of power that operated above scrutiny because success insulated it. Those myths are cracking. Even if nothing is proven yet, the conversation itself changes perception. Fans start revisiting old footage. Old interviews. Moments that once felt charismatic now feel controlling. Moments that felt humorous now feel calculated. Context reshapes memory. Memory reshapes legacy. The disturbing aspect of the allegations lies in how many people claim they always felt something was off. That phrase appears whenever powerful figures get questioned. It's hindsight intuition. But intuition gains volume when insiders validate it. Right now, the industry stands in observation mode. Watching. Waiting. Measuring how much of this storm is narrative. And how much is substance. Because if substance emerges, the fallout won't be limited to individuals. It will extend to enablers. Executives who looked away. Partners who benefited. Media entities that amplified image while ignoring whispers. Exposure rarely stops at one target. It expands outward. That's why this moment feels volatile. Not because of what's confirmed, but because of what might still surface. The insider's alleged message isn't revenge. It's revelation. A claim that the industry's most polished surfaces hide its darkest mechanics. Whether those claims hold legal weight remains unresolved. But narratively, they've already done damage. Because once disturbing possibilities enter public consciousness, they don't leave easily. They linger. They reshape trust. They force audiences to question whether the stars they admired operated in systems far darker than anyone admitted. Right now, the truth sits suspended between allegation and verification. But the fire has been lit. And even if it never becomes an inferno, the smoke alone is enough to change how people see everything that came before.